I have faith that the Constitution will not be saved in Washington.
Travis Wayne Goodsall. Dos days left. Just two. Pissing me off that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith were right, but not the religious part of it yet. We're getting to it. So, to start off, we got plucky comic relief. Let's see if you can figure out what's wrong with this picture. I'll give you a hint. Chad Daybell resurrected alert. Lehi, Nephi, and Moroni in my near-death experience. Hashtag nude. N-D-A-E. Nude. Anybody know what's wrong with that? Yeah, Chad Daybell had a near-death experience. He said he saw Jesus face to face, and Jesus told him to hurt people and murder zombies, burying them in his backyard. He's now on death row. Do you understand what this means, Mormons? Chad Daybell is a perfect example. He did not see Jesus face to face as one man speaketh to another as a spirit. Near-death experiences are not your spirit separated from the body. Near-death experiences are dreams. It is your brain having a dream before it shuts down forever. Game, set, match. And so, nonetheless, you're still getting Mormons, despite Chad Daybell, believing that near-death experiences are real, that their bodies are separated from their spirits, and their spirits go off, see other people, and they're wearing clothes. They're not wearing the sheer transparent robe so that you can identify the sex. See, you don't need pronouns in the language of the angels. You just look at them and you can tell. Pornography in all its forms is harmful. Yep. So yeah, this old man, who's apparently on his deathbed, is being recommended by YouTube to me. See, Travis, church is true. Lehi, Nephi, and Moroni were real. No. Because then you'd have to confess that Chad Daybell actually saw Jesus and was told to murder people and bury them in his backyard. Uh-oh, conundrum. Oh, well, this is the real near-death experience. Chad Daybell lied. Number two, we know that this is also fraudulent, not just because Jesus isn't real, but neither are Lehi, Nephi, and Moroni. And before you get outraged, guess who's dumb for not doing their research? What did Joseph Smith say about Christianity and the creation of Jesus with the name Jesus in verse 19 of the first vision? Oh. Why don't you trust Joseph? Why are you trusting these false prophets? Why are you trusting Christians? Do I need to read it for you? Because you don't read it. You just pray. Is whatever Joseph Smith said in his first vision true? I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to pray to get the right answer and feel good about it. Do you understand that you are easily conned? And so, yeah, I saw in the Utah news that Utah is now being conned by a con that was being used way back in the 80s. But now we have modern technology to push it. Yay! Mormons are conned again. It's because of the church. Church makes you gullible suckers and losers. Joseph Smith history, verse 19. This exposes that verse 1 is the wrong name of Joseph's church. Not a single one of you will go to the Joseph Smith papers to find out. And then you believe that my pictures from the screenshot is fake news. Joseph Smith was told by the unnamed personage that he cannot join any Christian church. I must not join none of them. None is an absolute word. It means all. For they are, oh, hey, there's all wrong. Not just one thing that's true and the rest are false, or one thing that's false and the rest are true. No, all of it is wrong. Every single line in the first creed and all of them afterwards are abomination in his sight. And so what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints under Brigham did was say, well, we're going to change the one line of Constantine's first creed of Christianity and turn it from Trinity into non-Trinitarian. Now the rest is all true. So therefore it's now true. No, Joseph Smith makes it very clear. All is wrong. All is an abomination. None of it is true. Don't join Christianity in all of its branch-offs. How hard is this to understand? Constantine was the great anti-Semite. And then Muhammad would eventually come around and not only steal the Jews, but also steal Christians to form Islam. The mighty Allah, who is Trinity, in a singular, from the Canaanite El. So Islam is confused. They stole the Canaanite name of God, El, to create Allah, which in Hebrew or Babylonian, or not, Babylonian Semitic Hebrew, it would be the feminine form, so it's a female trinity. But regardless, I'm sure Arabic is different. They then name their occupation of the land, which used to be Canaan for the Canaanites, and then became Israel for the Israelites. They're naming it after the sea people's naming of it. Philistia, Palestine. And they claim that they're not the occupiers like the sea people were who called it Palestine. It is important to have intelligence, to graduate from high school, not get a passing grade for a participation attendance. Dear God. You just bang your head and go, why are so many people suckers and losers? Why? What's going on? So yeah, Jewish. You're supposed to be able to read and understand what you read. And when you start reading the Book of Mormon, and even at the end, isn't Hebrew and Egyptian, or is that in Mormon, not Moroni? Hebrew, Egyptian. Abraham. Seriously? You separate them in. See, this is, if this were AI run, oh my God, it would be worse than this. Yeah, it's in Mormon 933. So, yeah, it's you'd probably miss it if you're an end of the book reader first. First Nephi, chapter 1, verse 2, learning of the Jews. They're a religion. So Joseph Smith is the Jewish Christ Messiah ben Joseph. And guess who the Messiah ben David that he prepares for is? And you don't care. You're not Jesus. You're just like Chad Daybell. You're going to be like Chad Daybell. I know your kind. And yet you'll watch that old man who leads you away. Because learning of the Jews means that none of this is real. None of this is literal history. These are all stories told in a manner of the Jews called prophecy and revelation for days and hours, not inspiration. Suckers and losers all. Because they made you dumb from birth. And you fell for it. And now Trump is king and you're still waiting for Jesus? We're getting to it. I think we still have some more stuff left, don't we? The church snuck in another church news and put it below its release. Because I did the 2 self-reliance videos, or I did the self-reliance video with the 2 posts by the church. That 3rd one was not there. I would have used that 3rd one, but I can see the elderly couple that called to be historic special church service missionaries. You know, that's my associative memory. She is an anomaly this morning when I saw it. And so, yes, if I would have seen her last night when I had finished my other video and did this little quick one that nobody cared to watch, again, it shows that the church is teaching lies to you. What self-reliance for the church means is that they're not going to give away their money to you. If you're poor, screw you. It's because you're wicked. You need to become self-reliant, not dependent on the church. And yet, that's why I did the video. This is the church's doctrine. Stay away from the church's coffers. It's for Jesus Trump. I'm surprised. Yesterday was the perfect opportunity for Nelson to go bow the knee to Trump and say, here, Trump, here's the church, here's our assets. You'll see that it's in the multi-trillions of dollars. And Trump would just be crying, this is the most perfect day of my life. Mormons would have their jaws dropped. The 5 stages of grief won't work to fix their problems. Because then they all just pass out as if they were dead. I believe he stinketh. If only you knew your Book of Mormon, you would understand how hilarious this is. I'm on chapter 19. Oh my God. So they're not, no, it's Bruce R. McConkie that tells us, because the person who did the chapters and verses screwed it up, because we don't have the noun, we have the pronoun being used. So chapter 19 in Alma. And it came to pass that after 2 days and 2 nights, they were about to take Lamoni's body, king of the Lamanites, and lay it in a sepulchre, which they had made for the purpose of burying their dead. Now the queen, having heard of the fame of Ammon, therefore she sent and desired that he should come in unto her. Rebound. And it came to pass that Ammon did as he was commanded, and he went in unto the queen, and desired to know what she would that he should do. Oh my God. Because this is what it means. And she said unto him, the servants of my husband have made it known unto me that thou art a prophet of a holy God, and that thou hast power to do many mighty works in his name. Therefore, a near-death experience. Am I brilliant or what? See how the associative memory works? Amazing. Therefore, if this is the case, I would that ye should go in and see my husband, for he has been laid upon his bed for the space of 2 days and 2 nights, and some say that he is not dead, but others say that he is mostly dead, and that he stinketh, that he ought to be placed in a sepulchre. They didn't have deodorant back then. If he's not getting a sponge bath, he's gonna stink. But as for myself, to me, he does not stink. You stink, but I love you. A classic death tongue. I should. I need to, yeah, we need to put on this one. Unbelievable. Huggable, stinkable, unbelievable. So, yeah, dear God. Come on, guys, what does it take? 2 more days. And seriously, just so pissed. And so for her, the odd woman out, self-reliance profiles, learning how to budget while growing spiritually. Yet no wonder they waited till after I did my video. I would have been all over that one as I am now. I mean, seriously, if you're budgeting, you're not self-reliant. Self-reliant means you're not dependent on a boss. You're not dependent on income. But this is not what the church means by self-reliant. It means stay away from us. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. And of course they used a black woman for that one. See, they have no problem showing ethnic Mormons when it has to do with denying you things. You know, they'll show women when they're denying you things. This is the big old school abomination of the good old boys. White supremacy, Christian nationalism. And so, yeah, they say that it's not about prospering. It's about budgeting. And of course, they'll tell you to pay tithing first. That's not self-reliance either. If we have to pay tithing, we're not self-reliant. We're dependent upon the church to pay them money. Not to receive help, but to pay the church the dues, the atonement money for Jesus, who atoned for us so that we would pay him back. But we can never pay him back in this lifetime, and so when you're dead, your ancestors need to pay for you too. Just like you need to pay for your dead ancestors. Thus enter in baptisms for the dead, the new Danite doctrine. Okay. When are Mormons going to wake up? So, I did some more confirmation today. Apparently on the 8th of November, Reuters was concerned of an issue with Dominion voting machines. They had a problem. Their AI program was showing false positives and some issues with accuracy. I warn you, you don't believe me. And then there's a whole cover-up on the internet. But in the video I did this morning already, I linked you to the actual government website, United States Election Assistance Commission. And it's all about artificial intelligence, AI, and election administration. And they confess all of the AI program voting machine, all of the voting machines approved for this election all contain AI. And let me read to you what they claim is their justification for using AI. AI-powered tools have become much more widely available and capable in recent years. They have the potential to benefit society and election offices, but also can accelerate false or biased information and undermine fair elections if used inappropriately. While these tools do not necessarily introduce new cybersecurity risks, that's what you just said. AI tools may allow existing threats to scale more quickly and efficiently. AI-generated text can dramatically increase the success rate of phishing emails, dating emails, over 2,700 last I saw this morning. AI-generated text can dramatically increase the success rate of phishing emails and other social engineering attacks. Oh, really? Isn't this true, YouTube? No, it's not true? I'm wrong? And so they're quoting from IBM. Artificial intelligence is a field which combines computer science and robust data sets to enable problem solving. Based on large enough data sets, personal assistants like Siri and Alexa can understand voice commands and respond appropriately. Most of the time, no. Amazon's got busted for spying on Americans. Oh my God, this was just October 2nd this year, and this came out. Oh my God. This is how smart our government is. And this was before the election. And so, yes, the Capital Technology University, likewise, is talking about voting technology and says the voting process has undergone significant transformations over the years, evolving from simple paper ballots to sophisticated electronic methods. This evolution has been driven by the need to improve accuracy. How do you improve accuracy with a direct count vote? YouTube, can you take over this? Can you explain this to the people? Can you explain while I go to my video page and the view count is listed, but then I go to my management page and there's a different view count, and then I go to my analytics page and there's a different view count? Can you explain this, please? How is that improving accuracy? Efficiency and security in the balloting system, as technology like artificial intelligence continues to advance and play an increasing important role across industries. New methods are being developed to improve the election process. Game, set, match. So yeah, I've run the test. AI needs to be recalled. I found the other site that indicated that for 2024 there are currently 70,000 different AI companies, and every single one of them uses that same process. They all need to be recalled. And it won't, because it's now a multi-trillion-dollar industry trying to catch up to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah, see, church just needed to do that from the beginning. Just develop the AI with the Spirit of the Lord, and they would have been, you know, a giga monies, whatever was above them. Not going to Google search it. AI will tell me the truth, and the truth will get you deported. Oh dear God, we're all doomed. So, Oaks, the big confessor, the Spanish Inquisition confessor. March 14th, 2020. It'd be March 18th when the angel Gabriel knocked out the horn of Moroni. See how I tied it back to the other? It was awesome. Hilarious. And it was the 24th of March when the state of Utah would shut everything down and lock everyone up. And thus the church put out the call to come home, missionaries, come home. This was right before any of that happened. Before the 2020 election. And the coup that ensued. Right, Mitt Romney? Oaks tells these missionaries on that Saturday, only to them. Oaks has come out and said, do not record me. And a little sister missionary, 19 years of age, recorded him. And a guy that had the hots for her after she's now home, because I saw his video recommended to me by YouTube, thinking they're going to punk me again. We'll show you, Travis. Church is true. Jesus. Typed out for his screenshot her recording. And I did a snapshot of it. And I've been using it ever since. To show Mormons this church ain't true, they're the enemy. I was right all along, and Mormons don't like it when people are know-it-alls. We don't want somebody who's intelligent, we want somebody who's popular. YouTube says you're not popular, Travis. He says, this is not the end of the world, but merely a test. A test is coming, Mormons. Heber C. Kimball. There's a reason why I am inspired to do certain videos for you at certain times. When are you going to learn? When are you going to humble yourself to admit this church is wrong? Because for Mormons to be upset with me that I was right, that they were wrong for believing in these liar, pants on prophet fire, and for you to stay in the church knowing that they got exposed as frauds, enemy frauds, stealing Mormon money, and for Mormons to just go back into their spiritual witness shell bubbles, to continue to go to church, to continue to pay tithing, to continue to help other funding for the church, light of the world, to continue to put thumbs downs on my videos, or to just go away. You'll show me, rather than subscribe and follow, to try to learn, since you don't have much time left. See, this is where the church is correct about striving. You're on your deathbed for a near-death experience. You better hurry up and learn the truth. Does it again. He continues a trial run for the second coming. So now you need to know what the church's position about the second coming is. Not Joseph Smith's Jewish version. The church's position. That's why I go over with you Thomas B. Marsh and his affidavit to the Missouri governor that then wrote the extermination order. Because Thomas B. Marsh says that the Mormons at Adam-on-Diomen called themselves the true Mormons, which means the other Mormons are not true. The ones that were following Joseph Smith. But they said, oh yeah, Joseph Smith is our leader. And then the year before Brigham Young died, he came out with Section 117 that says that Joseph Smith was not the leader of the Danites. Because that's what they called themselves. True Mormons calling themselves Danites. And Brigham Young was their leader. And they thought they had cooed Joseph Smith by getting him in Liberty Jail. Because Brigham Young is now being called the president. Joseph Smith papers are awesome. They expose this church. And so the second coming, according to the Danites by Thomas B. Marsh, is that they, the human beings called Danites, are going to coup the government. The United States of America and the world in the latter days. Not Jesus. And so now when you go to the second vision, not literal history of Joseph Smith, Nephi, not Moroni, tells Joseph in a vision, not literal history, that they that come shall burn them. So, verse 1, who put the name Jesus Christ in Joseph's name of the church? Hey, Willard Richards, one of the 12 of Brigham Young. The evil disposed and designing militant people are the Danites. Just like section 117 confesses. The enemy is this church. It's not even a church anymore since 1887. Heber J. Grant finally incorporated it as the corporation. All of you all, you're cash cows. Moo. Pay up. I warned you, did the videos. They're purposely going to destroy Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon with this coup. And so then there are more testimonies to this. Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., The Way to Perfection. And this is what happened yesterday for their plot. Not this Jewish scriptural plot. Their plot. The Way to Perfection, page 291, The Gathering at Adam-on-Diamond, by Voice of the Priesthood. This council in the valley of the Garda Davida, baby. They're the ones who, because this is what they mean. They set it all up for their secret coding of Adam-on-Diamond is to be of the greatest importance to this world. At that time, yesterday, there will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer. So apparently Death to America is out of the covenant path. He should have known about it. He was an apostle during Brigham Young's time, I believe. God, I gotta check that now, because that's something that needs to be checked. Okay, so he was born 1838, so he was 5 years technically, when his daddy was assassinated in Carthage jail by John Taylor, and then Willard Richards did the final shot right there to cause the blood stain on the floor. He was ordained to be president, which has no authority, October 17th, 1901. So we gotta click on him. Okay, so he was the president of the 12 for 1 week, first counselor in the presidency for 4 days, second counselor in the first presidency from 1889, Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Dear God, this was not complicated. He doesn't know about it. Well, he should, because he had to go on a mission. Okay, there's some weird stuff going on here, because they have Quorum of 12 Apostles, July 25th, 1887, that's when the church was shut down. John Taylor died in prison. And so, but then you go back to 1880, when John Taylor called him to be the second counselor in the first presidency. But then you go back to 1887, where he's part of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And then you go back to 66, where he's the counselor in the first. So they do this differently now, obviously. So when the 12 is a separate quorum from the first presidency from Joseph Smith, and thus why they're still implementing this back then. So once you're in the first presidency, you are no longer a member of the 12. You don't go back into the 12 apostles once the president of the church dies. And not, yeah, because Yeah. So he was in as second counselor, but then moved to the Quorum of the 12. After the death of John Taylor. Yeah, they're making this complicated. But originally, starting off, LDS Church Apostle, July 1st, 1866. He was called by Brigham Young. Reason, Brigham Young's discretion. What are you doing? Stop it. Who wrote that? They didn't even put called by Jesus Christ. Get over it. Okay? There will be a transfer of government authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer. Section 117 has code words still in it. It's a Danite forged document. They're mocking Joseph's 1835 Doctrine and Covenants with code names, which even Section 103, that didn't make it into the 1835 edition, but made it into Brigham's 1844 edition, still had the code names. It was not until Bruce Armour Conkey doing the footnoting diversion, so that you won't know the truth, think that footnotes need to be put in certain places. This is code names for the actual people, because the code names that Joseph Smith used involve God names. Barack L. Barack Hussein Obama L. That is interesting. Because Barack L is from the Bible, in which he is in Job, being the father and of the Buzites, as they are called. And Wikipedia doesn't even know the source origin for these people. And so you only have Christian scholars who are guessing, if not quoting like Bruce Armour Conkey did all the time. I'm just quoting. And he got Adam on Diamond wrong. Oh my God, that's not what it says in 116, which is also a forged document. Bruce, how'd you botch that? It is not the place where it's not the place of Adam where God dwelt. That's the other location. Should we look that up? I think we should. Don't mess with the translator, Bruce. Spring Hill is named by the Lord Adam on Diamond, because he said, "It is the place where Adam shall come to visit his people, or the Ancient of Days shall sit, as spoken of by the prophet Daniel." And so, 117, is there not enough room, verse 8, on the mountains of Adam-on-Diamond, and on the plains of Olaha, Shinha. Shinha is Kirtland, but they added Olaha. This is the Danites, or the land where Adam dwelt. See how it's not Adam on Diamond? It's the plains of Olaha, Shinha, or the land where Adam dwelt. Even though Adam is in the name Adam on Diamond. See how stupid Danites are? They forgot that they were framing and blaming Joseph for being their leader in 1838. And then they go and put verse 11, let my servant Newell K. Whitney become the bishop of Adam-on-Diamond, that Thomas B. Marsh said was the storehouse for the loot that they stole in the war. And that Joseph Smith is the leader of the Danites, but Joseph Smith is now saying, be ashamed of the Danite band and of all their secret abominations and littleness of soul before me. Dark Helmet, you are wrong. They are dolls, not action figures. That is an action figure. You had dolls. I have action figures. Jewish throughout and throughout. Hilarious. See, the Jews are the greatest comedians in the world. Greatest. Awesome. Okay? Are you getting this now? Trump is Jesus, according to the Danites. They were setting this all up. Oakes confesses the second coming. This is part of the 4 phases of Jesus' second coming in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of the true Mormon Danites. Trump, he's Jesus. They're following the final 4. The fall of America and the death of the Constitution, with the takeover of Trump winning the election from AI. 2020 is just a test run. What happened in 2020? Mass murder. And Utah failed yet again to post the previous week's numbers. And so if you noticed yesterday, I used the one from last week with last week's total. They won't even show you the total anymore. That's why I have always been keeping the total tally. And there was that one earlier this year with the Valentine's Day massacre, where they tried to destroy that file. And I had even seen previous to that Valentine's Day massacre that they actually hacked my system and stole the file, trying to prevent me from keeping the total count number. They don't want people to actually go to the website. And so now they've changed it under Cox to no longer show the total number of dead that have been murdered, because Oakes is claiming we are running a test, a trial running for mass murders of humans. This is why Nelson gets up and goes, Shanghai! They're in on this. They're controlling it. They're the puppet masters. They've been plotting this for 200 years with the Danites. This is what Oakes confessed to the little sister missionary who recorded him, but she's still hung up on Jesus that she doesn't understand it. She doesn't do research. She has no clue what the way to perfection is. They have the primary hymn now where you memorize the names of every single president of the church. So I'm sure she would know about Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. Maybe. But this means that they purposely made Biden win. What did you think this means? They couped our government. The church is responsible for January 6th. Trump is just their puppet. They groomed Trump to be this with his KKK daddy. you see the bigger picture, when you do the actual research and you assemble the facts, you expose their plot. Because to have so many people involved, you're gonna have leaks. This is why if you want something done right, Nelson, you gotta do it all yourself. And he still failed. This whole year, a complete and utter failure. Kirtland Temple was his backup for the failure of the Salt Lake Temple for April. And then failing again for October, it became the Deseret Peak Temple, number 200, bicentennial. This is why Nelson was all obsessed with 2020 and the bicentennial year of the first vision, which, yeah, wrong. It's not literal history. It's not about Jesus. But that's what they've done. And they've fooled you. And you fell for it. And you believe them. And you get mad at me. Because they made you a weapon. Religious indoctrination leads to religious hate crimes, which leads to religious holy wars. And so he then goes on and talks about some of the stuff. No, they did not talk about emergency preparedness. He threw this in. See what he's doing here? He's claiming, oh, we've been talking to you about it all this time. Yeah, you used to, but then it stopped under Hinckley. Especially under Monson. Emergency preparedness was no longer talked about. Because I remember under Benson, it was all about year supply, and then he lowered it, said, okay, a month or two supply, and then, okay, fine, 48-hour backpack. I remember those downgraded stages. And there were Mormons who were trying to make money off of this by doing, hey, we've got our emergency preparedness food kit. And nobody liked it. It was gross, disgusting. And so, some decade later, Mormons were then coming out and talking about how you need to have a year's supply, but you need to have it of food you would eat. And you need to rotate it. Oh my God. There's so much you're missing when you're too young. There's so much going on. And that's purposely. This is exactly Trump's plan. Just throw out a whole bunch of shocking stuff and see what sticks to move on to the next stage. And whatever doesn't stick, that people complain and are sensitive snowflakes about, he pretends to backtrack them and say, well, I never said that. Fake news. I don't know them. I take pictures with lots of people. And he pretends that it's not going to happen. But in secret, he's still pushing for it. You know, like the border thing. The big old show where he signs the reversal of the border thing. And then we learn that he didn't even bother to reverse it. He just made it worse. He was doing that for show. While he still did what he wanted. And he started it when nobody else knew, the first day in office. When 2 years later, the news finally found the leaked document from that day, giving the order to do the family separation proclamation of the church at the border. Yep. It's just unbelievable how the news does not have associative memory, that they forget. You know, finally, MSNBC yesterday, or was it a couple of days ago? Might have been a couple of days ago. Or no, it could have been yesterday. It was whenever the guy came out to be one of the appointees of Trump. And so apparently somebody remembered that Rachel Maddow had done a whole segment on him from back in the day. And then they did from the archives, putting up that video clip of hers about that person who Trump recently nominated, to remind everybody of what he's going to do in a coming day. So yeah, this is scary that these false prophets are so evil that they still, even as they're fulfilling their own self-fulfilling prophecies, because they're the ones behind it. If you remember your final destination, being interviewed by the FBI. It's a time for miracles. He's saying that he had a vision of the plane exploding, and that's why he got off. And the FBI didn't want to believe in prophecy and revelation. They died with the deaths of the apostles. And so the one makes the comment that there is no such thing as prophecies, only people self-proclaiming prophecies and implementing them themselves. They're trying to accuse him of being the bomber for the explosion, which was an electrical failure in the plane, apparently, from what we learned from the news on the show. It's all true. And I think that actual was the plane that did crash that they were using. Or they were following off and making their own separate plane explosion from the one on Long Island from way back in when. I'm not sure, and I'm not going to look it up on that for that one. We're already over an hour. But for Mormons to not catch on, to be so indoctrinated by these false prophets that they can't see, even after they found out a month later after conference that Nelson had said this. And they still are waiting for Jesus to show. I mean, that's just sad and pathetic. I mean, dear God, come on, Mormons, because next is going to be the mass deportation Exodus. And then the fourth and final one of the final solution 4 is the building of the kingdom of Nazi Germany 2.0 in America. The Nazis got their revenge. That's what they wanted. America destroyed them. America took in psychologists and doctors from Nazi Germany, brought them over to America to resume their human rights abomination testing on humans. Now, instead of Jews, it's Americans. And our government has been declassifying many of those operations over the years, decades, since then. But yeah, those Nazis, not Jews, Nazis, were not thanking their American liberators for asylum in America. They were being used to plot the destruction of America. And that's why I warned you about psychology, which in the state of Utah, they're now getting all locked up in prison, having been educated at BYU. When you have a product that has a problem, the company has to make a recall of the product. Religion has a defect, it needs to be recalled. psychology has a defect, needs to be recalled. AI has a defect, needs to be recalled. You know, like Elon Musk's AI machines. The Tesla. AI problems caused recall. Self-driving cars, oops, recall. Not catching on yet, but they're not doing it for the voting machines. They got away with it. Now they're covering it up with diversionary tactics. And Oaks confessed that they are in charge of all of it. That they are the masterminds of the whole world's operations. 2020 was the test run, a trial run for the mass murders and government coups. Which means everything before also. Oaks is confessing to all of it, all the way back to the original Danites. That's how you do research and investigation of a crime. And our federal government is in on it because they're not doing anything to stop this church. And this is why I'm concerned and upset, because their Final Four is happening. Yesterday, not just Biden shaking hands with Trump with the official, traditional transfer of authority. Transfer of authority. Biden is Lucifer. Jesus is Trump. But also yesterday, the House finally was decided for MAGA. So the Young Turks were premature, but they still got it right. It was a 50-50 chance. But yesterday it was officially called. It is a full transfer of authority. And Democrats are still deceiving the public. They're saying that, oh, Matt Gaetz, he's going to have a tough uphill climb to be approved by the Senate. Oh my God, you're not getting it, guys. Trump will not accept no anymore. He is putting in people who are yes men. He gave you your job in the House and in the Senate to say yes to him. He is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. You will not tell him no. He will fire you with death. You cannot tell him no. And Democrats are still in denial, even though they're the only ones calling for the danger that's coming. But Republicans, if there are any Republicans who are not aware of this situation, they will soon find out. Trump will get them removed. He will ignore Congress. Do it himself. He did it with Jared and Ivanka. They were supposed to get approved. Trump said, screw that, they're in. What do you think? He's going to get these people or their heads will roll. Some heads are gonna roll. That could also be a theme song of this. I might want that one. Some heads are gonna roll. Everybody's on edge. What is this theme song in the description below gonna be? I can't wait to find out. So this is why I'm frustrated. 2 more days, because this is all during the right time for this. In preparation for the Israel Feast of Tabernacles, tents. I'm just going, oh my God, it's supposed to be the church. See, because the church, I did the video with the hymns yesterday. O Babylon, we bid thee farewell. We're going to the mountains of Ephraim to dwell. Well, the mountains of Ephraim of the Danites is the Israel Feast of Tabernacles from 1 Kings chapter 12 that the Jews do not have on their calendar. So I almost missed it if I hadn't been inspired that one night as I was going to bed. Babylon shall perish, even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. The church's Danites say that's the United States of America. That's why Bruce R. McConkie did not decode this either. But Joseph Smith meant the great and abominable church. How do we know this? Oh, I don't know. You're speculating, Travis. In verse 14 is where Joseph Smith gets verse 40 in his Joseph Smith history about the Christ. Mormons need to hear him, not Jesus, not Trump, not Nelson, me, or you will be cut off. And so here you go. The arm of the Lord shall be revealed, and that day cometh that they who will not hear the voice of the Lord, neither the voice of his servants, neither give heed to the words of the prophets and apostles from Scripture, not Brigham Young, shall be cut off. He's plagiarizing from among the people. For they have strayed from mine ordinances. The government isn't involved in our religion, so they can't stray from what they were not a part of. Only those who were Mormons can stray from the ordinances as apostate, anti-Mormon, anti-Christ quarrelers. You have to wear your underwear. That's a symbol of your bondage to Jesus. And you missed that conference talk by Oaks in April. And have broken my everlasting covenant of marriage. Monogamy. Not polygamy. That's how it was broken. It's Mormons he's talking about. Not the government. Not those who have not made a covenant with baptism in this church. They're under a different law. And so it's Mormons they're talking about. Mormons seek not the Jewish Lord to establish his righteousness. Every Mormon walketh in his own way after the image of his own Jesus. That shall perish in Babylon, the great and abominable church. The final four is for the church, not the government. It's the Danites who said government, and they're getting away with it. The religion has yet to happen. What the hell? And it has to be in the order. And the government version is happening in the order. They don't know about this order. I do. This is why you're not understanding. And it's too late now. You're not even listening anymore of those who need to hear. I'm the one who made this as a picture. I'm the one who told you about it. There is an order And it needs to be followed. It's got to be in that order. You can't put the Exodus first, then a transfer, and then the fall, and then Zion. It has to be in this order. And number 2 for the Danites happened yesterday. And the Exodus, we already know what theirs is. Mass deportations. Get the hell out of America. And then Zion is the kingdom of Nazi Germany 2.0 in America. The Nazis thanking their American liberators from World War II. And the Danites and their plot. But this is where I don't understand what the Danites think they're doing. Are they giving up the church altogether so that it's now under Trump? Because Nelson's going to have to give everything to Trump. Like everybody. Everybody must say yes to Trump. Everybody must bribe Trump, pay tribute. Church is no exception. Trump doesn't give a damn about religious freedom. If anything, he favors the Jews only because of Ivanka, who married Jared and converted to Judaism. Otherwise, he's an anti-Semite. But that whole concept of being King Cyrus really appeals to him, which is why he fooled evangelicals. He's Jesus to them. Jesus is working through Trump, and he's going to betray them, just like everybody else who, for some reason, AI says they voted for him. All of the government and the news, nobody knows and understands what it means as to how AI is programmed. It is not an intelligence. I ran the tests, I did the videos. It needs to be recalled. But we're still waiting for the religious version of it. And it's all happened so far. That's the thing you aren't getting. From the beginning of the latter days, even before, even when Brigham Young took over, the curse of Joseph Smith instantly attached itself to Brigham. We're waiting for the curse of Joseph Smith to happen and the scriptural prophecies for the latter day. The fall of the great and abominable church, the transfer to me so that we can go to Zion in an exodus and build Zion, because it's going to be the only place on the face of the earth that will not be at war. That's the religious version. The Danite version is different, obviously. They don't believe in the religion. They don't believe that I would ever come. So they made Trump Jesus. They do not believe in prophecy and revelation of the Jews. And here I am. Everything has happened. Setting up for my birth with Joseph Fielding Smith Jr. becoming the president of the church, to the sign in the east of my coming, and then my birth, and then my nativity, then my moving to Michigan, then my moving to Southern California with the 5 peaks of the San Bernardino, San Gorgonio mountain ranges, and then my baptism, getting the Aaronic priesthood, becoming a priest, patriarchal blessing, events on earth prophesied in the likeness of things in heaven of the time and day and hour. My mission, and then start of the latter days, with the sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven, of Perry, Packer, and Scott biting the big one. Preparation to warn Mormons, because the moons were all on Jewish holy days of the Exodus, Passover, and Judah's Feast of Tabernacles, to let Mormons know it's coming, Mormons. Chad Daybell blew it with his near-death experience, thinking it was Jesus, when it was very plain and precious that it's Jewish, not Christian. So now he's on death row, because Monson said no. This has nothing to do with the latter days. Move along, keep paying your tithing. And so Monson then really got slammed. The first day of darkness was his birthday. And that his death is Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. Oh my God. The Jewish God hates this church. But that's the whole thing, is that the Jewish prophecies are happening. And Mormons are oblivious. They're waiting for Jesus still. And so this is all the religious part of it that I've been going over with you all these years. We're waiting for the fall. We're waiting for the transfer. We're waiting for the Exodus. We're waiting for Zion. The whole time I'm having to teach you all about the learning of the Jews. And there's only one that has been the earliest. Just one who's been here the longest. There are some who are a few years old, but the majority of new people, you're just walking in on it. And still the majority of the viewers are first-time viewers on one video. And you have no clue of the danger and threat you are under, of how right I have been this whole time with 2020. I was well aware of the mass execution and the coup. You have no idea how I've been an integral part in trying to save your lives. And Oaks came out and said, it was just a test run. You don't understand why I'm living here instead of in West Valley. Because I found the way to perfection. And the church just went ballistic. How could you, Travis? You're going to expose our whole plot. Yeah. Get over it. You're the enemy. Of course I'm going to expose you. I was an Eagle Scout. Just barely. Got his citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, and citizenship in the world merit badges. If you are going to commit crimes, I will report it. You committed crimes, so I reported it. Barack Hussein Obama L. Hilarious. But yeah, section 103. That was fun. Because there's other names that are not decoded. It's just for Joseph Smith, as they claim, is Barack L. And so when they did the footnoting, they tried to say that the man like Moses is Joseph Smith, but in so doing, they oopsed again. Because if the man like Moses is Joseph Smith, then Joseph Smith in the second vision is talking about him as Messiah Messiah ben David. But the first vision was him being called Messiah ben Joseph to prepare the way for Messiah ben David. And so now he's both. Yeah, they just botched it. Because Christians have to botch it. Because they just screwed everything up by turning it into literal history with Christian interpretation. So yeah, the transfer, 13th, 8 days it took for the transfer. 8. The fall was on a single night, as a thief in the night. But the transfer took 8 days. And so the religious transfer, 8 days, that's now the second to last day of the Feast of Tabernacles for the house of Israel. Danites on Mount Ephraim. So I'm getting concerned. Because if the religious one isn't going to happen, I need to know now. If the curse of Joseph Smith isn't going to happen, I need to know now. But the Danites are winning. Danites are doing it. And like I told you, there is a Jewish God. I'm not sure how. I just know it works. There are things that have happened that they shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have happened. But I happened. Thus, there's something to the Jewish prophecies. Getting released in 2014 from the church's bondage. Shouldn't have happened. I was supposed to be locked up for life. I was never supposed to see the light of day ever again. Nobody was ever supposed to know of me ever again. They erased me from history. And then, oops. But in exactly 2014, the start of the pre-show of Sun Shall Be Darkened, Moon Turned to Blood, Bye-Bye Perry Packer Scott. After having spent that time writing out the whole plans for the building, designing, and running of Zion. I even created Amazon mixed with social media, YouTube, before they were invented. And mine is better, by the way. And so, yeah, I was upset that I was getting inspiration for this because I knew I was being locked up for life. How could you give me inspiration if I'm never going to use it? And then I get out in 2014 going, oh, okay, so in a coming day, I'm going to use it? Oh. And then a lunar eclipse happens. Oh, interesting. I'm miraculously freed. Now there's a lunar eclipse going on. And at the end of it, I get married at the Philistine Temple, room number 13. Have our wedding supper feast at the Lion House next to the Beehive House. And then she would cut my hair and betray me before the start of my ministry. And I would have dreams about Feast of Tabernacles for 2 more days. And so, yes, I know how it needs to be orderly, because it pisses me off when I have to rely on other people. In this particular case, the fall and the transfer are not under my control. I cannot make them happen. But Zion, yeah, while I was locked up for 6 years, designed and how to run it. The Exodus, that was that little notebook that I had. Just one night, told, do it. Okay, I'll do it. But if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be pissed. It's like with Zion. I've got it. It's all done. Ready to go. Let's do it. And then Trump does his thing because of the Danites? Seriously? Why do they get to have theirs happen and not mine? Everything else has happened. Everything. This whole year even. Dear God, I was awesome. And now, what? What? Seriously? 4 things left and still nothing on them. Nothing on number 1. But the Danites got theirs, and they're now waiting for number 3 to happen. What about mine? My whole life, being born and raised in this church, I'm being told about Zion. I would then be told to say that Jesus is coming in my time. So I studied all about it. And I've got my white supremacist Christian nationalist peers in Southern California whom I'm like, oh dear God, I want Zion. I moved to Utah after Lethbridge. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe this will be just like Rick's. All those cute honey bunnies. I don't know if I can choose one. Well, they made it easy for me. None. But getting back after my mission, yeah, I had the one, and I let her go, the dumbass that I was. So I settled for Stephanie. But, yeah, dear God. But then I would never have deciphered Paleo-Hebrew that way. But yeah, I did not want, I mean, seriously. I come to Utah and instead of greater intelligence and making me feel inferior, I was bullied, abused, and threatened. No, Travis, you're not allowed to translate. No, Travis, you're not allowed to get that inspiration. No, Travis. No. Travis, no. Can't do that. No, Travis, you're not allowed. No. Only the president of the church, Travis. Only he has the keys of Peter, James, and John to have the titles of prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. You can't actually have the gifts. You can't have the keys of Moses. No, Travis. And so, yeah, it deeply concerns me that the scriptures are saying 144,000. If that is the count in Zion, I am just going to just go, ugh. Out of the over 17,225,394. See, that associative memory causes me to remember that number now. And it's different because we're now in November, so we don't have 2024 stats yet. And so it could be down to 15 million. But the active numbers, yeah, it's around 2 to 3 million. But to see and hear all the abuse by Mormons in this valley, it's scary, literally scary. That Mormons don't even want Zion. Mormons believe they're waiting for Jesus to give them everything so that they don't have to do any work whatsoever. And that kind of an attitude does not get you into Zion. That is not love. And thus the fall is to compel Mormons to believe. The transfer needs to be public so that all Mormons know, so that they don't think that they can go their own way. Yes, they'll reject me, but still, at least they would know, and thus knowingly reject me, as they reject Trump as Jesus, so that I can then go, boom, Exodus time, let's go. Because even that's going to take a little bit of time, depending on how quick the bishops can do it. You don't need to make an issue out of it. It's real simple. You don't need to spend a whole lot of time. You've got 300 to 500 members in your ward, and you only need to deal with each family at a time, head of household at a time. Doesn't take long. It shouldn't take long. If you take too long, then you are holding back your ward from getting to Zion. It needs to be organized so that we can have no bugs. And that transfer is crucial. That transfer can't happen without the fall. And 2 days, and then yet the governments, the Danites are already ahead of me. Everything else, and yet these final 4 we're waiting for. And starting Saturday, that's it for the week. And if it doesn't even happen during that time, that the final Saturday next weekend comes and goes, and no curse of Joseph Smith either, dear God, that would be the real coup. That everything happened in the religion that none of these prophets expected. They weren't planning on any of this happening. Perry Packer Scott dying, they weren't planning that. Monson, maybe. But they weren't thinking in terms of fulfilling Revelation 12:4. None of them knew that. They knew 23rd September 2017, sort of, maybe, probably not. But yeah, maybe. And so thus they knew Revelation 19, 11 and 17. But still, dear God. See, the first one happened after the 2016 election. This year's one happened before the election. But there was a double this year, but only the first April one was the one over the United States. But yeah, the church did not count on me. They know me, guys. That's why they've been doing what they've been doing to me all this time. But yeah, they are trying not to have this happen, as their version is happening instead. And Mormons still don't see it. Okay. I'm going to figure out a title and a picture.